excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John. Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid. And the whole world is a urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
We're here! Hello, everybody! Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast. Yeah, I've been recording the whole time. Now I have so much dirt on YouTube. I'm John.
I'm Lindsay. I'm Em.
And today we are reviewing The Wolf House. This is your pick, Lindsay. Where in the world did you find this?
I saw it on some YouTube video list a while ago of people talking about, like, bizarre, artsy horror movies, and I was like, that looks weird. I want to see it. Maria, a young woman, finds refuge in a house in the south of Chile after escaping from a sect of German religious fanatics. She is welcomed into the home by two pigs, the only inhabitants of the place. Like in a dream, the universe of the house reacts to Maria's feelings. The animals transform slowly into humans, and the house becomes a nightmarish world.
Oh, yes, I have this all written down. Okay, so before we get started, if you want to get a hold of us, facebook.com/justanotherhorrorpodcast. We're on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe.
Or we gonna sue your balls to the wall.
And you can also reach us at justahorrorpodcast@gmail.com.
Twitter at justhorrorpod.
Instagram at justahorrorpod.
We did it! Yes! That was flawless, guys. Lindsay, do you know what they think this movie's about?
Well, they think it was about this, like, place in Chile. I had never heard of it. Colonia Dignidad? Is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Paul Schaefer was, like, the leader of it, and he was this German Nazi guy. And
what, the keyboard player?
No, I know. That's what I thought when I heard the name, too. Different Paul Schaefer.
Keyboard by day, genocide by night.
So yeah, they think that this was loosely based on that, and that the narrator was kind of supposed to be him, and it's sort of like a propaganda film that the cult themselves were, like, making. I mean, this wasn't real.
Something that they would make.
Be like that, to try to scare the kids into not trying to escape from the cult.
Right. At the beginning, I thought I had the wrong movie. I was like...
Because it was all live.
I was like, I thought this was like an animated kind of something or other, and, like, at the beginning, I was like, is this the right... And I'm, like, making sure it's the right year, and I'm like, what is happening? And when I searched, like, Germans in Chile, that I came across the article about the Colonia Dignidad.
Yeah.
Like, German was supposed to pay compensation to the victims, because I guess there was, like, a lot of sexual abuse and stuff like that. So that's the first thing that came up when I...
The leader, that Paul Schaefer, I guess back in Germany he had been accused of molesting children.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's partially why he ended up there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so then he just founded a whole town of children.
Yeah.
To torture and molest, yep.
Yeah.
Who
And
then,
I mean, at the time, Chile had this horrible dictator, too, and it sounded like he was
Pinochet.
just sending kids to...
Pinochet's a really horrible...
Oh, right, it was kind of like a disciplinarian...
Right, yeah.
Like a juvie kind of place that they were sending people
but I
at
think
one point, right?
in an extreme way.
Right, okay.
There's a lot of these now, still today, in America even.
Yeah.
They're trying to get rid of them, but you can... If you're a parent, you can actually sign up to have people break into your house, steal your kid, and take him to one of these camps.
That is insane. Yeah, I mean, the way they were saying it, like, they're there to educate and heal. Mm-hmm. No. I mean, I think it was more like torture and kill.
You're right.
It's to educate them to be what they are.
Right, yeah.
They're like a master race type. Because they were talking about not giving the dark-skinned kids honey and stuff like that.
Yes, uh-huh. Yeah, they said, the leader said that they were, like, stupid and lazy and stuff. Like, wow.
How do we describe what we saw to people using words?
Oh, it's almost impossible to do. Yeah. But, I mean, it's stop animation style animation, and it's very interestingly done. I've never seen stop animation that way.
They're using Scotch tape to move them around. It was so crazy.
I know, and like all these different, they use paper mache and paint and all sorts of different things.
It reminded me of The Mattress Factory. in
Yeah, I can
Pittsburgh.
see that, yeah.
Like the large scale art installations with like all different kinds of mediums, and like if you like that kind of stuff, then you would like this movie.
Yeah. Have you ever been to La Hut Royale in Pittsburgh?
No.
Okay, so this German artist, it's like Thorman. I'm not going to say his name because I can't remember exactly, and it's hard to pronounce. But he got this house in Pittsburgh, and he just turned it into like a giant art installation. You have to like go there by appointment only, but I've gone there, and it's really cool. Like you go through the house like in different passageways. Like you go through the fireplace to get to a different room. You go through like a little hole in like a short ceiling to like climb up to another room, and they just have all this like really weird stuff. Like they've got like one room that has like record players that are going that have like these fake ears on them and stuff. It is so strange.
It does sound a lot like that's similar, I think, to the Mattress Factory.
Yeah.
And then Randyland is another one
Yeah,
in Pittsburgh.
and that's
it's just a
free.
huge
Yeah.
art, a house of art.
This reminded me of a Tool video without Maynard James Keenan, and it made me sad.
A Tool video?
Yeah, it looked just like a Tool video. Like
a certain one.
all of them,
Oh,
they're all
okay.
like this.
Are they?
Yeah, I always had trouble watching them, but I love their music, so I just sit there and put myself through the torture. This style of animation creeps me out.
It is creepy.
Like, it could be a comedy, it could be a kid's movie, it still makes me uncomfortable.
You said you don't even like Gumby.
Gumby freaked me out. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer freaked me out. Like, I don't like how they're moving, man.
Yeah, I can see it. I liked Gumby as a child, but I don't know. I can see
There
that could be creepy.
was a Mad TV sketch of two things. One was Davy and Goliath. They had turned that into a monster thing that I had never seen the original, but this was like creepy and scary because the point of David and Goliath was what? That they were like a dog and a friend who were like Christian undertones or something. Mad TV turned them into these demonic claymation monsters, and then they did the same thing with Gumby. I'm freaking out just thinking about it.
And Mad TV is like a comedy.
It was for like in the background was laughter, and it was so surreal to me. All these people were like, ah, ha, ha. I'm like, what the fuck?
I liked in this how you could watch everything transforming as it was changing. Like, instead of just, like, watching things go from one thing to another, like, you would see the transformation. It was interesting.
I wondered why they did that. Did you?
I think it made it creepier, for one thing.
I was just amazed by the amount of like time and
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I can't even imagine.
I think it took them 4 years or something. That's what I heard, to do all
wow.
that. And along the way, they would, like, have some of it in museums that people could, like, see as they were going along with the production.
I did say they did a lot of filming at museums and art houses and stuff.
Yeah.
The only thing I did not like about like the transformations and stuff was the noise, like of the like when the people were kind of like shape shifting almost, and it was making that kind of like
Crackly.
like that kind of noise.
I liked it. I think it made it creepier.
It was creepy. It absolutely creeped me out. Like those sounds sounded a little bit like fire, and maybe I missed something, or maybe I'm imagining it. But did the kids get set on fire at some
Yes,
point?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a fire, and you thought that they burned to death, but then she was like, oh, only your skin got darker. I can, like, fix that with this honey from the colony.
What's going on there?
She's like, your hearts are still fine and everything, so...
Well, and you just said something about honey and dark skin.
Yeah, she tells a story before they get the honey about when she was where she was, the compound or whatever, or the city or whatever.
Right.
And they had honey underground that they would only give to certain people. And people with the colored skin were like, can we have it? And they were like, no, you're lazy and stupid.
Oh, they said that in the movie?
Yeah, but then they said to Pedro, if you want to be strong and better and faster and just not ugly, you need to eat this honey, or you can choose to be small and weak and ugly.
Yeah.
So he eats the honey.
Oh, maybe I was still wondering if I had the right movie when that happened.
Yeah,
I feel like it took me a while to actually, like, catch on to what exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
And for about the first 10 minutes, I was like,
What's going
I
on?
don't know if I can watch this. Like, I was really kind of freaked out by it.
Garrett watched the first half hour with me. He was like, how did they do this? And I'm like, they must have taken forever.
Yeah, years.
And he's like, it's kind of short. And I'm like, imagine doing another half hour of this. Forget it,
It
Garrett.
would have taken them, like, 7 years.
Right.
But he, like me, at about halfway through last night, were like, I I gotta stop.
Did it freak him out too?
Well, he was like, I can't watch this right now. And I'm like, he's like, I don't think it's bad. I'm like, I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
But I don't want to watch it right now.
I could definitely see how it could give somebody nightmares. I mean, it feels like a nightmare.
But I did finish it this time.
Good. Yeah, when they have the fire, you can see the kids, like, getting burned up, but you don't see flames or anything. You can tell what's happening because, like, black starts, like, coming out of them and everything, like, weird stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell they're supposed to be dying, even though they don't really die.
Is that them being purified by fire?
Probably. Maybe something like that. That would make sense.
So do you think that the pigs that turn into the kids, do you think they're representative of Maria's actual kids?
Did she have actual kids?
I don't
don't
think
know.
she showed up at that house alone.
Yeah.
But what I think is going on is, like, she escaped and she's trying to put all this stuff behind her, but it's following her. And she saw some of the stuff that they were doing to these kids and she can't get it out of her. And she's like, well, what if I tried to have a family and kids? But again, this is a propaganda, so this isn't really happening.
Right.
Like, this is a story that they're telling somebody else.
To scare them.
So she went there without kids, had kids through magic, I guess. However you have kids, and then... Sorry, I know how you have kids.
Magic beans.
Yep, she eats 2 magic beans, and in the morning there's 2 pigs that turn to children. That's how children are made.
I mean, the stork brings them, of course.
Yeah.
But...
Anyway, she can't escape it, and she just starts repeating it, even though she got away from it, and by the end she's back where it was anyway.
But I mean, I think she, after escaping from this place, and then she just finds this abandoned house, and she's all alone, and I don't know if the pigs were really there, if she created those in her mind, but if the pigs were really there, either way, I think she was using her imagination to try to make this a better space and everything, because, I mean, she's scared, she's all alone, she has nobody. So I think she wanted to, like, create this world in her mind where she had companions and stuff.
I don't think we're looking at it from her point of view, though. I don't think we're supposed to. We're supposed to be looking at it from the point of view of somebody observing her, the wolf being the leader of the group or whatever, watching her do these things. So, and also making it all up as he goes, which I think is also why you're seeing them be put together as it goes.
Yeah,
because it's not... It didn't happen. This thing didn't happen.
So he's like, you can try and leave here, but you're gonna go nuts.
Yeah, here's what happened to this woman. She took her piglets out into the woods and tried to live away from us, but they eventually tried to consume her, so she had to come back here.
Yeah.
Right.
He's trying to, like, convince everybody that they need him to control them because you couldn't handle it yourself.
I was interpreting it as other things, too, though, like cycles that people go through, like, you were abused, then you abuse, then they abuse. Even through your best efforts and your best tries, you abuse. Or another way I was looking at it was like this mother is struggling to be a mother, like really hard. Like she wants to kill these fucking kids, but she's like, I'm going to do my best to make them good. Like, because I'm sure as a mom, you've wanted to strangle your fucking kids so bad.
Of course. Everybody does.
So I got that from it, too. I got a whole bunch of stuff from it. So I was like, maybe there isn't. But maybe there is, but you can also add your own stuff to it.
I feel like I'm just, like I think I said before, not necessarily comedic horror or like slashers, but any horror with an element of drama to it is about trauma, passed down trauma. Like, you know what I mean? Like family trauma, like inherited trauma. Like, I feel like it's been a theme in almost every movie that we've watched so far. Like, almost every movie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's going to be again next week.
Right.
The freakiest thing, I guess we can't really do this the way we normally do, but that's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's fine. The freakiest thing when I was watching this movie was when I turned it back on today, and I started to clean up a little bit, turned around, and there's a giant fucking head on a bed. No context. And it's just moving, like, back and forth. And I'm like, what the fuck?
That is creepy.
There were all kinds of, like, strange visuals. You know what I mean? And you're just like, where did that come from and where is it going?
Were there any that popped out to you? The one that, like, sticks out?
There was one when she was in the bathroom. And Pedro, I think, was sitting on the toilet.
Oh, that was weird.
But then it all shifted.
first he had like bugs crawling on him, and then she came in, and they were both naked, but then they both transformed to have clothing on.
Yeah. And then the bathroom eventually just transformed into
Yeah.
like something else. I think that's the one where I was like, okay, he's sitting on a toilet. Where's this going? Like, you know.
Lots of scenes on toilets in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, at first when she finds the pigs, they were in the bathroom, right? Like she was at the sink there, and then she looks over and there's 2 pigs there.
Was there any that stuck
I
out
thought
for
that
you,
was
Lindsay?
I mean, pretty much the whole thing, but I don't know. It was kind of cool how you would see them, like, the pigs were on the wall at one point. It just looked like they were paintings on there, kind of 2-dimensional, but then there was a ball, and then they would become 3-dimensional.
Yeah.
And come out of the wall.
That was freaking neat.
And the way that they would have shadows go across, like at the end when it was almost like a spotlight
That reminded me of David Lynch.
kind of thing that's like moving
Yeah,
around.
I thought
So
there were
it's-
different things that kind of reminded me of David Lynch.
So then it's like black all around and color only in that circle. And I'm thinking about like how they had to actually do that. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to have everything black and then just very slowly make certain portions
Right,
color
yeah.
moving all around and like keep the rest black, and it's insane.
Yeah. And like when she gave them clothes for Christmas, it was like she melted down and like she was like, was she like a white pile on the ground kind of, but she became separate. She had 2 piles of white on the ground that she brought the clothes to the one with the one pile and the clothes to the other with the other. It was very strange. It was like she melted and then became 2 so she could go in 2 different directions.
Oh, and I noticed that the boys' clothes were very like the ones that she was giving him for Christmas were very. It was like a jersey and jeans.
Yeah.
It was very modern compared to like the dress that she wore and the dress she made for
Right,
Hannah,
yeah.
And by the end of it, he's in a little green and white. Looks like one of those.
too. Like lederhosen.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I wouldn't have known this as a non-Spanish speaker, but I guess even though she was speaking Spanish, she was doing it in a German accent.
Holy
that's
shit.
detail there.
Well, and she did speak German sometimes.
Yeah.
It switched back and forth because I was listening at one point and I'm like at the beginning I was like, okay, she speaks Spanish and the wolf speaks German, but then at one point she was talking and she was speaking German, and it kind of switched back and forth. Like if you didn't know, if you didn't know any part of any of the languages, you probably wouldn't even notice. You would just think they were speaking a foreign language. Oh, you? Yeah.
I knew German, but I didn't notice the Spanish.
It was mostly
So-
Spanish,
okay.
though.
Well, maybe because I was just like reading it and not paying attention to any of the stuff they were saying, because that sound was driving me crazy. I want to talk about the sound design,
Yeah.
not just the crinkly paper stuff, because that freaked me out. It was weird, but like other stuff, like little wolf growls here and there, little sounds of people outside, like they weren't alone, like there were people around them somehow, but they were. So it was really confusing and
Yeah.
disorienting, but it sounded amazing. Just, it was amazing, but really unsettling.
Do you think they were just kind of distant memories of things that happened in her head?
These memories aren't real. They're stories somebody's making up. So I don't think at any point we really get into the head of Maria very often.
Okay.
Or at all. I guess not at all would be not at all, and it wouldn't be sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we know, Maria didn't even really exist. She was
Right.
just a character that the cult
Right.
made up. But I like to look at it from her perspective, too, anyway, because it's just interesting to think about if
Sure.
it was real.
Was that wolf outside of the house at all times, just right outside the door? Or was it looking for her?
I think it was looking for her. And I was wondering, like, you know, you hear him talking, he's going, like, Maria. Like, is she hearing that? Or...
It might be the voice in the back of her head telling her to come back.
That's what I mean about like just thought, like the thoughts in her head of
Yeah.
like, if you do look at it from her perspective, then she escaped from this place, but there has to be this doubt in the back of her mind.
That she can
Maybe
do it.
I can't make it. Maybe I need to go back. Maybe, you know what I mean? So
Right.
like that kind of like somebody calling her back is actually maybe herself.
Yeah.
I think
And I mean, she starts to question, like, if she can handle this on her own as it's going. She's like, maybe I should have stayed there. Maybe they were right.
most of what happens to her comes from inside her own head. I think the other thing I noticed too was sometimes when her emotions would change, the house would change.
Yes.
And when she was in a good mood, like, stuff would get color. So she's got this dirty, disgusting room with all this garbage everywhere. And I don't remember exactly what she did to make herself happier, but like she was talking about being happier, and then all this color started filling the room, and then other times she'd be really upset, and it would be black and white coloring the entire room. So the house was like reflecting her emotions.
Yeah, and I think like later when you see the kids being like really big and she's really small, like that's symbolic too, because then they're the ones that are more in control at that time.
Does the wolf eat the kids at the end? Is that what happens? She begs for the wolf to eat the kids.
The kids beg for the wolf to eat her.
Right.
Yeah.
Because at one point they're all starving, and like the kids are saying she's sneaking food, she has this and that, and
Right.
you know, Maria's thinking like saying, you know, they're taking food and that, like they're kind of
they're
turning against each
her.
other.
Yeah, because they're thinking like, really, she's bad,
Right.
Because at first they seem to love her and everything, and then they're like, no, she's actually bad.
She did set them on fire, and then
didn't
gave
need to
them,
set them on
and then
fire.
gave them honey,
It
and was like,
purpose.
we don't have to go to the hospital. Drink this honey, you'll be fine.
It wasn't like she was like, I'm gonna set these kids on fire. Like, she just like, the candle fell or tipped over. Because I was thinking, okay, so this is going to be extra traumatic for her now, because the only people that she had keeping her company at all that
It
she
didn't
created
seem
are
to
gone
really
now.
bother her at all.
No, it was like she knew she had magic, I guess, to just get them back, and she used that money, and now they're fine. And
I'm just gonna go with that as that's part of the script. She has magic powers. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna stick with that.
There's actually a really good article about like the symbolism, the possible symbolism and that kind of thing on scarystudies.com about the Wolf House. So if anybody's interested, they can read that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know it doesn't really matter since it's not actually from her perspective and it's not probably real, but I always wonder, like, did she have magical powers? Was this all in her head? Like, were the pigs all in her head?
Is this a fairy tale that this guy is telling children at his
Scare them.
camp? Yeah, then I guess maybe she does have magical powers.
she
It wouldn't
could,
even
'cause
matter.
It's just like a fairy tale.
Okay.
But yet, if you're not thinking of it being fake, like, she could have just been, like, really trying to create this world to make herself feel safer and better, and
That makes
she
sense.
didn't actually have magical powers, but it was all, like, in her imagination.
That's kind of the way that I was originally looking at it before we started talking, was that, like, this was her little bubble. It wasn't a real even house, even. It was just, like, her protecting herself, and she
Yeah.
couldn't do it. She tried to get all of the thoughts about the old place away, but she couldn't, and by the end was back there. So,
I liked the water in the movie. Like, she'd be pouring water, and, like, it would be all plasticky and weird. Like, it would...
Oh, like they used saran wrap for
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
right?
I don't know if it was that what it was?
I mean, that's what I thought it looked like, but
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what.
Yeah, they
might
really
have
had
used.
to get creative with this. It was really cool.
the beginning of this, too, the part that you said you weren't sure was the right movie, they were showing things that, like, they would point out what the things that you were about to see were supposed to represent. I remember thinking that. Like, they would be they'd be looking at a pen full of pigs and talking about kids escaping.
Right, yeah, or the bird that was, like, flitting around the cage like that, and they had the narrator talking about how Maria was just working and working with no stopping at the cult when she was there, and I think the bird was supposed to represent her. I mean, he even talked about, he called her his little bird.
Yeah, it flies inside of her a couple of times, which is strange. Turns her into a tree at one point.
Yeah.
And what did they say? Like, she talked about how she remembered, like, the punishments and stuff like that. And at the beginning, I was having a hard time at the beginning because, like I said, I didn't even know if I had the right movie. They said that they were going to put her in 100 days of solitary confinement for not wanting to work or something like that.
Well, she had accidentally let the pigs out. Not those pigs that were in there, but, like, ones that she was supposed to be watching after.
Right.
They had escaped, and she was in trouble for that.
Okay. And that's what she was supposed to get 100 days of solitary
Which to me tells me that she was there as part of the program that was getting the kids to become whatever it is they were trying to get the kids to become. She was punishing them, and then she let a couple of them go,
Right,
and then she
yeah.
herself was punished for it. So,
But that's when she left, is because she
Right.
was sentenced to that.
mhm.
Remember that little story which she was talking about the little animals that would go into the hole in the tree, and they would just happily go in there, even though they knew they would just disappear once they went in there, and then they became little flowers around the tree. Like, that was very interesting, and then the tree thanked her for bringing all these animals to them. And so I think she was, like, getting kids and bringing them to the cult to torture. Or to heal and educate, of course.
Right. Right, because abusers do like to have other people do their recruiting for them.
Right, yeah.
They had to have been stealing kids, because they were naming them and then being like, that's a reward for you. You get a name. Aren't I wonderful for giving you a name? And shit like that. Definitely.
And even though she was nice to these pig people that she created, like, I think she was so influenced by being in the cult. Like, when she created them, she acted like she was a god or something. She's like, I am an angel and all this stuff. Like, I'm creating you. And I don't know, it was kind of weird. And then when they started questioning her and everything, that's almost like when people start questioning the cult leader. They're like, really, I don't think she is good. Like, because at first they're thinking, oh, our cult leader's really good. And
right, because you wouldn't follow them if you didn't think they were good and, like, speaking to something that you thought to be true.
Right.
You know?
I don't think she was very nice to the kids.
Yeah, I mean, she seemed like she was, because she's talking all, like, nice and soft, and, like, she seems like everything's all good.
There were two things that stuck out. One was somebody's punishment would be painful but would be good for her.
Yeah.
And the other one was, like we were talking about, when she was like, yeah, your skin's gone, but drink this honey and you'll be stronger and better, or you can stay small and ugly. Like, you're small and ugly right now. That's what she's saying to him.
And we saw so many different forms of the same characters, They would
I mentioned that, yeah.
They would look really different.
Right. Like, different mediums, basically, of the artwork. It was, like, I can't even count how many different things that they used.
Right, yeah.
At the end, they were using, like, little stuffed dolls, it looked like. Almost.
Yeah.
They had, like, plastic heads, some of them. So, there's some seriously frightening shit in this movie. Like,
definitely.
When you mentioned the eyes, in a lot of horror movies, you'll have, like, paintings and, oh no, black eyes. But this actually scared me. It's surreal as fuck, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to talk about.
It's the kind of movie that you can talk about it, you can try to explain it some, but unless you actually watch it, you're not really going to get
very true, yeah.
What all is in it. You know what
Definitely
I mean?
not. And you have to watch it.
The trailer's not going to do it justice either. It kind of gives you an idea of what you're in for, but it's way more than that.
Definitely.
So,
and you really feel like you're put into this little weird world when you're watching it.
For sure.
Okay, I really liked it. I have never seen anything like that. It was really bizarre and surreal, and I love bizarre, surreal things like that. I love, like, stuff that's really artsy and strange, so I like that. I thought it was very creative. It was very impressive, the time that they had to put into it, and just their imaginations to come up with all this stuff. It was really interesting. And then knowing the history behind what it was supposed to be representing, that was interesting too. And I mean, I learned about something I didn't even know existed. I never knew about that. So I think I'm gonna give it an 8.
okay. Do you guys remember when we did the Malignant review? And I was like, this movie was fucking insane. It didn't make any goddamn sense. 8 out of 10. Remember that? Well, okay. So this movie is outstanding. This movie's incredible. The time and effort, the sound design really got me. I loved it. But the mood that I was in didn't work. So, I don't think it's fair to me to really give it a score, but I'm going to give it a 7 and just kind of table it.
Yeah, because if you would have been in a different state of mind, it would have.
I was not in the mood.
Changed it.
Not in the mood for dictatorship, abuse, and fire, man. I'm just not in the mood. But it is definitely a good movie. So I have to give it 7 so people aren't like, ugh, because it is good. It's really good and really neat and definitely unique. Yeah. You won't see anything like this anywhere else that I can think of. Right,
Okay, I agree with you on a lot. Like, I have an amazing amount. I have an immeasurable amount of respect and admiration for the artists and the time and how this movie was made. It's just insane. Like, I can't even conceive of how hard it was to do this and how much time and people and materials and all of that kind of stuff. It is like nothing else that you'll ever see. Like, you can call it stop animation, but I don't even know that I would call it that necessarily. Like, it kind of is, but at the same time, it's not even really animation because they're real. I don't even know.
I think they were
it's hard to
South Parking
describe.
it and like taking picture like that, like setting it up, picture, setting it up, picture, setting it up.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Ugh.
So I have a great deal of respect for the film itself. I don't know that it's my kind of film, or I have to be in a very particular mood to watch it. So I think I'm probably gonna do I was thinking I'll go right down the middle. Do I recommend? I recommend it to people that are really into art and and appreciate that kind of stuff. If you're not, you're going to hate it.
Yeah, it is not a movie that's for everyone.
If you have never stepped foot into an art museum or any kind and you never want to, you will despise this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was almost kind of I go right down the middle. But it's the kind of thing where if you see it, if I do come across somebody that is into that kind of thing, I would definitely recommend it. Oh my God, why is it so hard for me to come up with a number?
You don't want to because you think we're going to be mad at you.
No! I'm going to go with, I recommend it, kind of, depending. So I'm going to say 6.
That's fair.
I don't know.
You could have said 2, it would have been fine. It's fine.
Yeah, just say what you really
Yeah.
think.
We don't all have to agree.
It's not that I don't think, I think it's an amazing piece of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing that I'll sit down, I'll be yeah, let's watch a movie tonight.
Yeah.
And
See,
you know
I
what I
will
mean?
definitely watch this again, but then I'm a person that loves going to art museums and stuff
Right.
like that.
I
so
am,
I do too, but it's not. I mean, I guess it's just it has to be a thing that I'm in the mood for.
Yeah.
I'm going back to this movie. I am going back.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I feel like it needs another watch in a different kind of mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And
so
I mean, I
much.
have a thing with movies. I love a movie that has a huge atmosphere that just pulls you into this weird little world, and that's what this feels
It's
like.
its own universe. It's
It
completely
is,
separate
yeah.
from this. Yeah, great pick, Lindsay. I mean,
I'm glad you liked it. I liked it. I'm sorry if you didn't as much, but
I was just thinking, she was talking about, the actual, physical work that went into it. But to come up with so many metaphors or ways to express ideas, physically express them, in ways that you can't verbally express, apparently, because we're having a tough time.
Right.
That's so much talent, man.
Yeah, it's like a movie that's beyond words.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there was some more Nazi-ish symbolism in there that I didn't even notice. But when you see, I think it was a window that was coming together and it looked like a swastika, and I didn't notice that when I watched it the first time. But
I did. I was because the way it came together was from the middle. And then the lines came out from the middle like that, and I was I kind of in my head I was that's close to that.
Yes. Which obviously we are very against anything Nazi. But
Fuck them. If you see one, punch them. And I don't like violence. Punch Nazis, dude.
Yes.
That's our message, man. They'll be fine.
Okay, that's what we should end with.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
yeah.
Fuck Nazis.
Yeah.